Joanne's first up to tell a memory with Granddad.
Do I need? Oh, this is on. Okay. Oh my goodness. We love Granddad and Dad, so we'll try to tell the story without crying. But when Grandma and Granddad asked us to have a memory of Granddad, the first memory that popped into my head was kind of traumatic, and that's probably why I remember it so well. But when I was about, I'm guessing 4 years old, Granddad would work over in Cedar City. We'd go over to Cedar City to sell cows or something, I don't know what it was, sell land. And we stayed in a hotel, and we went swimming at the university over there, the Southern Utah University, big swimming pool. So we went to this big swimming pool, and we were, Grandma and Granddad and Aunt Loretta was there, and she was learning to swim, and Uncle Larry back there was a little baby, probably 6 months older. So I guess I was older. I was younger than 4. Anyway, he was 2. I was 2. Well, I could talk. So first, Loretta was over in the shallow end playing around, and Grandma was holding Larry, who was a little chubby baby. And Granddad was swimming around with me, swimming me through the water and teaching me how to float. And then he said, okay, it's Loretta's turn. So he set me on the side of the pool, and he said, sit there while I work with Loretta. So he took Loretta, and he was showing her how to float, and Grandma was still holding Larry, playing in the water. And I thought, well, he already showed me how to float and how to swim, so I'm good. I think I can do this. This is way back in the olden days when they didn't have floaties or swim wings or pool noodles or anything. So I was sitting on there on the side. I saw Granddad playing with Loretta, showing her how to swim. I saw Larry over there splashing in the water with Grandma, and I felt left out. So I decided I was going to jump in and swim over to Granddad. And I remember distinctly sliding off the edge of the pool and going straight to the bottom because I wasn't floating. And I remember standing on the bottom of the pool thinking, oh, this is interesting. Now what do I do? And I see these red and blue plaid. Do you guys know what plaid is? Raise your hand if you know what plaid is. These red and blue plaid swim trunks coming toward me really fast. And that was Granddad's swimsuit. And he was hustling as fast as he could over to pull me out of the water.
Bluetooth disconnected.
Because I couldn't swim. And when he pulled me out, who knows what I said? Say it all together. 1, 2, 3.
I swim like a bird.
I swim like a bird, and that's exactly how I swim. Can birds swim?
Ducks can.
Ducks can, but it wasn't a duck. But I remember those, and he probably still has those red and blue plaid swim trunks.
He only wears them with Sunday shoes and black socks.
That's right. That's my first memory of being with Granddad, learning how to swim like a bird. But I didn't drown. That's the second time I almost drowned when I was with him. We won't talk about the other one.
Well, I think he should tell it while you're in the mood.
Do you want to tell the...
At the Boulder Ranch,
I'll hold the mic. You talk.
the Boulder Ranch, we were out irrigating, and the ditches there are about this wide, and they're kind of deep. And I was shoveling and moving the water one time, and I turned around, and my little 2-year-old was gone. And I looked, and there she was, looking up at me at the bottom of the ditch,
Bluetooth.
eyes wide open, and she didn't have to say I swim like a bird, but we grabbed her and got her there. Otherwise, can you imagine, the water was cold. That was her time in Boulder.
He was out irrigating, Yeah, the water was crystal clear.
You see her big eyes coming up out of the water, and he grabbed her. It's a miracle. That's kind of like James. You tell the story about James. He's not here. Could we? When James was a toddler, learning to walk.
Can you fill in the post hole?
Okay, she's wanting me to tell the story of we were at Boulder, right? And we had dug fence post holes that were about that big around and about 3 feet deep. And James was just barely, he learned to walk, just a toddler. And we were putting the fence posts in and burying them with dirt. And we turned around and James had disappeared. And he had toppled over upside down in one of those post holes. I don't know if his feet were sticking out the top or not.
Joanne was supposed to be watching him.
Joanne was supposed to be watching him.
We're not going to tell.
That's all right. We're getting way messed up already. But
Whose house?
The house they live in currently,
lot one.
we dug fence posts to fence in the horse corral in lot 1, and Ben went in one of those post holes. Disappeared.
Okay, who's up next? I forgot who raised the
Raise your hand if you have a story.
Okay, let's let Mary come up next.
You guys think that Granddad is super nice. Well, they don't know, huh? One of the stories when they said remember a memory to bring it, I remember we were staying in the Annie C. Hansen house in Boulder, and we had just bought, either just finished remodeling or I was pretty young, but for some reason, those of you who remember the ranch, then there was the weigh station and weigh house down at the end of that long driveway behind the fence. And I can't remember what it was, but late at night, 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, then Dad decided that Ben needed to go down and get his pocket knife. I don't remember what we went for, but I just remember he was so mean that he made me go with Ben where the boogie monsters live and the pirates are going to attack us and everything else. And he sent us walking, and it was probably maybe 100 yards. But back then, when I was,
It used to be 5 miles.
it was a mile or two. And I said, well, it's really dark. And so Granddad, in his generosity, gave us 2 matches. And so Ben was little enough that I doubt if he remembers, but we got sent down there and to retrieve something in the middle of the night, and I was scared to death. I think it was
He
a
had set
pocket.
his pocket knife in the slats
We
of
had
the scale
been
house.
we had been branding or doing something earlier that day, and he needed it, and I was scared to death to go. But when we got back, then I could see he had watched us the whole way through the window, and so we weren't going to get murdered or anything, as far as I know. Ben might have gotten taken. This is the alien double that he was replaced with. But anyway, Granddad used to make us do all kinds of. Or in the spring, we got the awesome opportunity to go to Deer Springs, where there was this corral full of rocks, and we get on a Shetland pony that had been out wild all winter, and see how many times we got bucked off that day, and hopefully when you fell you got to avoid some of the rocks. I still remember the horses' names, Smokey, and then Blazer, and Dusty, and Rebel was out there, and can't remember the red horse's name that died in the winter storm. Tequila, there you go. Anyway, Granddad's all nice to you guys, but he was a little more rough in those days. Anyway, that's my story.
Yeah, I'm curious, any of you grandkids, great-grandkids, have you ever pounded out bent nails, a bucket of bent nails for Granddad?
I don't see a single hand.
I think I remember doing that once.
Of what?
You sort out.
They saved all the bent nails out of the old fences
Oh.
or old buildings that we tore down. And you had a big bucket.
bend them straight, and then you had to store them in the right size in a baby food jar that nobody ever used ever again. I tell my clients that story whenever they talk about remodeling and building that. I'm like, let me tell you, because they're always talking about, you know, this generation being cheap. I'm like, let me tell you a story, and they're like, no way. Or the milk jugs that we saved for 16,000 years up in the attic of the house. When you pulled them out, they smelled like rotten milk from Moses' time. Anyway, fun stuff.
Who's next?
So it's more like a memory, but one of the main memories I have is anytime when we go to Granddad and Grandma Clarkson's house, the little house in the basement, we would always go in there and play family, and like sometimes we would like lock each other out of it and just like we were reckless in there a little bit, but I remember
How many grandkids?
I remember all the toys in there, and what makes me sad now is because they took all of them out because there was a flood or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll still accept donations of new toys to go in that playroom.
But that was a really fun playroom.
Good deal. Good. Thank you.
Yay, Loretta, for building it.
Yes.
I just want to say, I remember we would go to Granddad's house, and I remember we would always play hide and seek there. Be like, ooh, you'll have to hide and stuff, and they have all the best hiding places. But one time I hid behind a couch, and I was like, oh, this is the best hiding spot ever. So I waited, and I waited, and we were getting lunch. Like, they were like, oh, you can play till lunchtime and stuff, and I waited, and I waited. And then the lunch came, and they were like, Jane, come on, like, the game's over. And I was like, no, because they hadn't found me. So it took them forever, but they were finally like, Jane, where are you? And they were like right next to me, and I was like, I'm here. And it was very funny because I didn't want to come up.
How about we ask Granddad about the time he hid behind the couch?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's a Granddad story when he was a little naughty little boy.
We lived in New Mexico, out in the boondocks, a long ways away from civilization. And my father was down in the Phoenix area training racehorses. And so my mother was out in the pinyon juniper trees, all alone and away from any other home. And so we had to ride the school bus to school, which was 15 miles away, and it was winter time. And I and my sister Christine or June took turn looking for the cows. When we finished milking in the morning, we turned them loose, and they'd go out to try to find something to eat. And so we came in, and it was Christine's turn to go with me to look for the cows. It's my testimony of prayer, the greatest one in my life. As Christine and I got off the school bus, we went, can you imagine, 10 miles of everything. We went, and we'd see where the cattle had been in the snow, and we kept going and going and going in a total direct answer to prayer, and we finally found the cows, and instead of being up and around, they were all laying down. But the cow that had the bell, which is what we found them by, was all full of snow, so she didn't make any noise. We yelled at the cows, Christine and I, about a mile to go back to our
Fight going on.
homestead. And so while we were out there, my mother naturally thought we were going to die. And so she was such a sweet mother. She'd walk this way and call, no kids. She'd walk this way, call, and no kids. The other way. And Christine and I had followed the cows in because the cows knew where the corral was. But we decided when we got there that we would play a trick on my mother. And so while she was coming in, Christine and I, couches kind of leaned back and there's a hole behind them. Christine and I got in behind the couch. As Mother came in the back door, not finding us there, she just screamed in hysteria that we probably going to die. Christine and I came out from behind the couch very, very rapidly. That's the end of the story.
Did she give you a spanking?
Joanne wants to know if she gave you a spanking for that.
No, she just loved us. Loved us.
That's Granny Clarkson.
Laughed and cried at the same time. That's how Granny is. She was so happy that she was already crying.
I have a memory of we were at Cabindale, and under Cabindale there's a storage place, and it's like really dark. And we would dare each other to see who could go inside. And the closest I could go in was 3 steps, because it was so dark in there. And then one of our brothers managed to get the door open, and then he just sprinted out of under the place, and it scared us, so we just sprinted out of under the storage. And then we went back into the cabin. It was a funny moment.
Go back up there. Have Granddad.
You want to share a tale of being under a building?
Me with him?
John's not here.
John's the best teller of that tale.
Yeah,
but
well, I guess.
Come on,
Who else? Who else came prepared to share a memory with Granddad?
Chloe.
Okay, so I remember one time when our family was hosting Thanksgiving a few years ago. I remember after we all ate our food and was all full and happy, I remember Grandpa came up into the living room, and I remember he sat us down and told us all some stories about him when a long time ago, and some of those stories some of them I memorized by heart, but now I've forgotten ones. Other ones I didn't memorize. I still don't remember any of them, but I remember one about when he went hunting with Brigham Young with only 2 bullets. I hope maybe sometime he can tell you the tale.
That story?
I know.
Granddad to tell that story.
Do you want to just sit there and let me hold this mic for you? Yeah, you tell the tale.
When we pioneers were coming across the plains, and Brigham Young and all the pioneers and little kids were hungry, and we had been through the snow and it was terrible, and we were out of food, and she told you, Brigham Young said, I wonder who the best shot is in this camp, and they decided it was me, and they had one shell that they had to use in hopes that we could get enough some meat to save the whole group. And so I was selected, and I took the rifle and the one shot, went out through the tules. After I'd walked quite a while, I went around the tree, and there in front of me stood a great big buck. Oh, I was excited with the big buck. So I knew I just had one shot. So I knelt down and took a very careful aim at that buck and was able to just shoot his horns, which dropped him down on the ground, but the bullet that got off of his horn split the limb up above and caught the toes of 3 turkeys. So we had 3 turkeys and the buck, and we knew that the wagon train was going to be saved. But as we started back toward the camp, carrying the deer and the 3 turkeys, and I was getting tired. There's a lake of water, and I decided, hey, I don't want to go around this lake because a tree had fallen across. So I got on the tree and was walking across it, carrying the deer and the turkeys, got out in the middle of that pond, and that tree gave way and dropped me down in the water. It was cold and terrible, but I kept wading across until I got the other side. And when I got out, I found out that my shirt was full of trout, fishes. It just filled in my belly. So then I had the fish and the turkeys and the buck deer, and I kept walking down the road toward camp, and I had suspenders, and those suspenders just kept stretching because my pants were about to fall off. And they pulled the suspenders so tight that one of the buttons on that suspender flipped off and hit a cottontail robin right in the eye over here and killed it. And so I had the rabbit, the fish, the turkeys, and the buck deer. And Brigham Young gave me a special award. And that's my hunting story.
Larry, can you get Granddad a drink, please? Okay. You wait just a minute. Does there anybody else?
Mom, Denny.
Oh, were you lined up? Oh, come up. Oh, after that lovely story, I will tell a story that nobody has heard, and it actually has some truth to it. So most of you were familiar or remember, I was really, really small, so I don't remember it too well, but I remember getting dressed up in our Sunday clothes, and it wasn't Sunday. I don't remember it being a Sunday, but I thought it was weird because we were dressed in our Sunday clothes, and I believe it was Marlon Brown came to take our pictures, dressed in our Sunday clothes, and it may just be the photos that I remember, but we were in the gray suits and matching dresses, and we took a photo, and then Mom and Dad directed us a family testimony that we put with the photo and pasted them in Book of Mormon, in copies of the Book of Mormon. And they were translated into Spanish. I wanted to get one to show as an example, but I couldn't find it. But the story, I remember that really well as a missionary effort. And the reason why it was really important, because sometimes we don't know we can count the apples in a tree, but we can't count the. How does it go? We
Trees
can,
and apples.
trees and apple. We can count the trees and apple, but we can't count the apples.
Other way around.
Count the apples in a tree.
We can count the apples in a tree,
You count
but not the trees in an apple.
In an apple.
So there's a gentleman. His name is Christian Sayas. Yeah. You know the story?
Harry knows it.
Well, I didn't know who this guy was, but I found out, and I
lives in these sides.
yeah.
Be careful all the time.
Oh, well, somebody called me the other day and said, "Hey, are your family?" That he was just called into the stake presidency, and he bore his testimony about being a young man
Argentina
in Argentina who received one of these Book of Mormon.
through missionary Clarkson, the elder Clarkson.
Yeah. Why didn't you tell the story?
I don't know much of the aftermath. I wasn't there. You guys made those Books of Mormon and sent them in a box while I was on my mission, and I passed them out, and they went lots of different places.
Oh.
But I've heard a few stories of people that got them and said, "Oh, hey."
He
Yeah.
works for the church.
So he works for the
He and
church.
Carrie are very good friends. I don't know where Carrie.
Somebody called me that knew us from, just knew our family. Well, they're in the stake, and he bore his testimony of receiving a Book of Mormon and being impressed by the family and wanting a family like he saw in the book. And he was a young man, I guess pretty young, and anyways, it affected his life and his testimony.
Well, he was converted because of that Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
Came
I know.
from a non-member family. I mean, he was non-member.
Yeah.
But because he got that book during the time he was living there, and he ultimately came to America too. He married an American girl and lived in Nephi.
Yeah. So a stake member said, "Hey, they called saying, hey, is your family?" and kind of told me part of the story. And so I was wanted to share that as a memory because I remember taking the photos and was very, very little. And I remember the Book of Mormon, copies of it that had the testimony pasted in it. So
The family, anytime you go through Nephi, please stop by.
yeah, so he was
Sent out a bunch of missionaries.
Yeah.
His sons and daughters to serve mission.
yeah. So that's another church-related story that I thought was fascinating, and just remember the example of the good example of trying to drag the family to church, or part of my growing up years. Then I was Dad's companion, home teaching, and we had many spiritual experiences, and just going to preach or to teach or to help people in need. I remember visiting a bunch of different families, and anyway, so that was kind of a memory that I had that touched other lives, and I guess I didn't know some of the other parts of the story. So.
And we're horrible at. I just want to ask, because he wrote a letter after he came and found the Kanab, only 10, 15 years ago, about the time you served your mission in Argentina. And I think he wrote a letter to Mom and Dad. Explaining his story, which they probably lost, because about every good letter, whether it was the letter I found in Boulder in the old log cabin from the prophet asking for some 12-year-old boys from Boulder to come up and do baptism for the dead in Salt Lake Temple, original handwritten letter from the prophet, which I gave to Dad, and he cannot locate anywhere. So, yeah, well, I would like to copy that letter, because when I was on High Council, I knew of that and wanted to share that story. So that would be one that from this, if we can get that collected and get it scanned where the grandkids and everybody can, share that experience and, flesh out the whole story, because I have a copy of the family picture and the testimony, but I don't have a copy of the book, which we pasted into, at that time, Dad bought.
Cases.
Yeah.
We still buy boxes.
The church didn't have or provide those even for missionaries, so they had to put it out of their pocket, so they would mail cases to Larry in Bolivia. They probably didn't get there because they were always ravaged, and Larry got an empty cardboard box just like his Christmas. Barry was a little more fortunate in Argentina to get his boxes and get them handed out.
We still buy books of the Books of Mormon and puts our family picture and testimony in it. We just did it about 6 weeks, 2 months ago. Go for it.
So every story I have with Grandpa has to do with working, but that doesn't mean I didn't have any fun.
How did you get that one?
Well, I just remember he was always finding work to do no matter where he went. So he would come visit us in California and he'd start doing our dishes. I'm like, Granddad, what are you doing? And he said, looks like you have some homework to do. So every time I remember coming to Kanab, whether it was going to Deer Springs and digging post holes or selling cherries in bags that we picked right outside their door, we would sell them to passing cars. I just remember, hey, many hands make light work. So we actually dug that basement out that we talked about earlier. I remember with a shovel and singing that, what is it? They hung the jerk that created work in the Big Rock Candy Mountain. I remember singing that as I was probably, 12. And I remember Sean, my cousin, had a conveyor belt taking the big rocks out, and we just had at it, and it got done. And now it's like the next generation sees it and says, oh, look at this creepy basement. And I'm like, I remember being down there. And it's a good thing to look back at things we've done and say, yeah, I remember the hard work that went into that, and I remember crawling under some hotel or something about that as well. And a lot of these memories I blocked out because I was a little scared, but I remember to be brave and always keep working.
Love you.
Who should I hand this to?
Next victim. So, Granddad was a graduate of ASU, Arizona State University, and was the student body president, and got a degree in what? Marketing. His children, us 11 siblings, if you're one of the 11 siblings, raise your hand. If you have a degree, raise your hand. Where'd Barry go?
He's over there. He's over there.
Hiding over there, okay? So I think we have bachelor degrees, master's degrees, doctorate degrees. Pretty much everybody has one degree or another. I don't. I didn't need one because
You forgot?
back in the good old days, before they had timeout and floaties for kids in pools, they didn't send the kids to preschool, and this was even before the program now that's homeschooled. This was just a hard life, the hard knocks of life education. So before I went to kindergarten, how old are you when you go to kindergarten?
5.
5 years old.
6. You went up 6. 5.
So about the time I was 2.5 years old, until I was 5, I had already become a real estate agent, a contractor, a ranch manager, a cowboy, a truck driver, a farmer, and you might think that's funny, but I traveled basically all over 3 or 4 different counties: Iron County, Garfield County, Kane County, Beaver County, looking at real estate, looking at ranches. I had to count from 1 to 100 by 1, and 1 to 100 by 2s, and 1 to 100 by 3s, and 1 to 100 by 4s, and 1 to 100 by 5s, and I was only 2.5 or 3 years old. I learned how to speak some Spanish, mostly swear words, or not really swear words.
Sure, combate.
Daddy Combate.
Yes.
You want to fight?
You want to fight?
So I remember going over, like Joanne said, we traveled a lot over to Cedar City or Parowan. We had a ranch in Parowan when we were little kids, and some properties in between where we had other horses that weren't even mentioned in the Barry story or something. Who talked about horses? So there were other horses that I think Barry was even too young to remember, but before that generation of horses, Joanne and Loretta will remember Peanuts and Thumbelina
Little Bit and Bitsy.
Little Bit and Bitsy. And we had the deer ranch and the pig ranch,
Bicycle
The
ranch.
the bicycle ranch, and we had a ranch over in Parowan somewhere, and I would go with Dad, and we'd sleep in the cellar in the basement. You remember that? There was a stove, so you could keep kind of warm. There was no potty. To go potty, you had to go potty in a coffee can, a 1 gallon can. So I remember that well. But I remember driving between here and Zion's National Park, where the mountainsides were always on fire. The coal seams had been lit on fire by lightning strikes, and so when you drive from here through Mount Carmel going into Zion's Park, the road is really rough because it sloughs off and moves, but underground it was on fire, and so there would be smoke seeping out of badger holes and gopher holes and other holes. So I got this was before preschool, but it was a preschool education of my letters and my numbers. When I went to college, I tried to get a girlfriend that was real smart. Her name was Deborah, and she can tell you that I wasn't very good with doing my numbers because I could only count to 100 by 1 and by 2 by 3. But I grew up a little bit, and I'm about 1.5 credits short of a degree, and I quit because I was just sick of it. So I'm almost there, but somebody asked me the other day, are you ever going to go to school and finish your degree? And I'm like, not a chance. I learned everything I needed to know riding in the hay manger of a 69 Chevy pickup truck between here and Deer Springs. We had a horse rack in the pickup truck, and then this little box up top where you could put hay so the horses could have a snack while they were driving down the highway. And me and Barry and Ben would ride in that. And you could stick your head up over the top, and the wind would blow your hair back, and the sweat and the wind, so your hair would be plastered straight back. Ben and Barry did it way too long. I told them to stop. Barry talked about having to walk in the dark just to hold Ben's hand to get him down to the corral. What had happened, we were working cows, and Dad had been cutting these cancerous pustule tumors out of cows and left his pocket knife in the weigh station scale house, and he made them go down there that night to get it. Another story up there with Grandpa was our old witch cow. Who knows the story of the witch cow?
I was on my mission, but I heard about it.
So just maybe a real quick, between Boulder and where we drove our cattle down to the winter area, you go down the Burr Trail and out past the draw. On that trip, one of the cows just tipped over dead. And Cecil Albee, the cowboy that worked for us, went over and, stuck her with his knife and bled her out on the ground, so it was a big blood stain in the dirt. And
on the road.
Just right on the edge of the road. And nobody really thought much of it. But a year later, when we were moving cows, as we approached that area, the cattle all started just going crazy and taking off running and bellowing and screaming, making noises that cows don't normally make, and they were standing up on their back legs and holding hands and dancing in a circle. No, that was something different.
Pretty much.
But they were acting really weird, and they all ran to this spot, and we were thinking, what is going on? Well, it was the spot. It was the spot, and so we called her the witch cow, because not only that trip, but multiple other trips when we would get to that area, the cattle remembered or smelled something, and they would go to that spot and then just start hoofing the dirt and throwing dust up in the air and Grandma! So, crazy things.
Yes, it is.
Granddad took me and Barry and our cousin Craig down into Deer Creek with a box of groceries and left us.
And Mike Geiger.
And Mike Geiger, one of my high school buddies. I can't remember if Barry started it or Mike or Craig or somebody started like a nudist colony. And
I can remember vividly who started it. And the aftermath.
Bird buds.
I don't know how it happened or what happened, but I remember distinctly being at Rick's College to go back to college that fall and wrestle, and when I was in the shower, some guy said, "Hey, how come you don't have any tan lines?" Anyway, we were starving because our box of groceries ran out, so we were catching fish and seeing who could swallow a whole fish.
A whole live fish.
The bigger the fish. And if you swallowed a big enough one, then you could actually swallow it and still feel it wiggling and swimming. That's the kind of things he taught us. Anyway, that's the end of my stories.
We had to work there all summer.
I asked why were they down there in the ditch? I have to say that I was really confused growing up, because when they taught us about Brigham Young history and the timeline, I was like, no, you're wrong, because my granddad was there with Brigham Young. So I was very confused what was fact. But I wanted to say that Granddad always took us on some really fun adventures out to Deer Springs. This is how I remember things. Some people might need to fill in the gaps. We would go out with a lot of the cousins, and I remember we were looking for lot corners or something, and there were so many people that Granddad would put us in the Suburban, but also on the tailgate holding on, but also on the top holding on to the rack. And I loved to be on the top holding on to the rack, because then when we would drive around corners, I would just get this adrenaline rush going. And that was my favorite memory out there. So, loved it.
And Granddad would say, hold on tight.
Yeah.
He would tell the older grandkids, hold on to the young ones so they don't fall off the roof.
That sounds about right, like reaching over to make sure that the little ones don't go.
Put your arms around the younger ones. And
Yeah.
don't forget we were on there and back into a tree.
That was a very beloved Suburban. I actually still remember the smell of like the seats in there. I also remember one time we came upon a cabin out there, and I think a bear had gotten into it, and it had like ravaged everything. So for some reason we were going through things and trying to see what we could save. I remember we found all these like elaborate dresses that then we took home and we always would play dress up with. So for many years we got to have fun with that. And then I remember one year we brought home a souvenir that my mom didn't really like. We were looking at some cabin, and underneath there was like a snake pit. And I remember Larry being there. They had cut the heads off the snakes, but they were still moving, and I thought that was really cool. I liked how they felt. And so we decided to put them in a box and take them home. And when we got home, we asked our mom, can we keep these? Like, these are our new pets. And she just was like, no, I don't know what you're doing, Granddad, but you can't have those here. So anyways, Granddad, thanks for all the fun memories. We had a lot of good times.
Okay, I just have a quick memory of when I went to Deer Springs with Granddad, and he told me, I was like, Grandpa, I want to go down to the pond. I don't know how to get there. So he's like, well, you gotta walk. I'm not gonna take you. And I was like, oh no. So he very carefully drew me a map, and he kept explaining, go straight down to the meadow. When you go, you're gonna, make a left, I think. And he very carefully drew it out for me, and I kept asking him, so I go this way, I go this way. And so I thought I finally got it down. And then when I went down the wrong way, and I was walking for like a couple hours, I think, walking and walking. And then eventually I came back and I was like, oh, I think I was supposed to go this way. But then I was too scared to go. And then I came back and you had asked me, did you get to the ponds? And I was like, yeah. I did get to the ponds. So that's just my little memory. I don't think I ever told you that.
So you can dance.
Does anybody else have a memory to share? Anna?
Josie has.
Where's Josie? Josie, come over here. She was the first person to put her hand up, and she has been waiting.
Okay.
So let her go.
Okay. So we were at Grandma and Grandpa's house, and we were like sitting on like the bench, and like Granddad said, let's go on like a money hunt. And so we like found a lot of money like all around the house, like sometimes on his desk, like all around. And sometime we even saw a crown for some reason. I don't know why. And when we were done, we like counted all of it. We had a lot, so it was pretty hard. And so we were like split it up, and so we were each gonna take a little bit home and put it on money banks. And so like all money banks were like built to the top or brim, and it was a lot. So we like spent it so we could get more and more and build it back up and back up and back up. So, yeah.
She found all of the loose change.
What's the card the other friends get?
What? Yeah, they're like
money hunt.
Money hunt. I have a lot of memories similar to like Mariah and some of the older grandkids of going to Deer Springs and finding the corner lots, and Granddad is the person who taught me that you could cut the tree sap off of the tree and chew it like bubble gum. But I was, it didn't taste like bubble gum. You could just chew it.
Out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. I liked the regular juicy fruit better. But Granddad set a really good example for us, I think, of hard work, and we were always working on a project when we were with him. And something that I think about regularly, my middle name is Dale, and so...
His first name is Dale.
What?
Yeah.
I know there's a few of us that have that name, and it means a lot to me. I think a lot about it, of what I represent because of that name, and having a hard work ethic and having integrity and being an upstanding person and trying to take care of others, and a lot of the things that Granddad has embodied throughout his life. And so those are things that I carry with me because of him.
I got one other just real quick.
I got a comment.
Oh, go ahead. No, you go. No, I already had a turn.
All right. Well, I went, me, McKenna, Russell, and Erica went with Grandma and Grandma up to Cavendale, and they're not here, so hopefully this is a true story. But I think with the cabin, you got a little red Ford Ranger truck, and so we went out there. It was just a 2-seater truck, and it had a little back seat. I think the back seats they folded down sideways. So McKenna and Erica got in the side, and then me and Russell sat on a little bathroom stool on the back. So that's how we got out there. But on the way back, then the hood of the truck flew open. And so we pulled off to the side of the road, and I remember it was a manual truck, and so I don't know if they didn't want to put it in park or not. But Grandpa was driving, and Grandma was in the passenger seat, or vice versa. And I just remember we were just rolling, and they jump out of the truck and try and switch positions as we're rolling on our little bathroom stool in the back of the truck. So we had a lot of good fun memories, digging the basement, going up to Deer Springs, drinking out of spring wells up there. So that was a fun trip.
So since John's not here to talk about going swimming under the hotel in his underwear to cut a pipe to drain the water out, I remember when we finished the golf course over here, and there's a big reservoir that was for sprinkler water, and then so there's a box in the middle, and then an 18-inch culvert that ran from like where I'm at now past Loretta's house. And before we got it filled and pumped and everything ready to go, there was a big flood that came down and filled that whole thing full of mud, including the culvert that was under. And they could clean out with the tractors all the reservoir, but we had to go under we couldn't even fit the culvert wasn't big enough for a 5-gallon bucket. And as you crawled in, you couldn't have your hands by your side. It was like crawling in like this. And when you got in there, one scoop at a time with your hand, you would scoop the dirt into a bucket, an ice cream bucket that's in between your legs, like this. And then you'd yell, and they would pull the bucket out with a string, and you'd lay there in the dark midnight. It's sunny outside, but it was pitch black, and you're laying there 20 feet under the ground, waiting for it to cave in on you. That's normal. Hey, good job. So I remember I have a little bit of a hesitation crawling into tight spaces these days, because I imagine, what if something had happened? You couldn't crawl out of there fast enough, and I hear some of these people that go spelunking and get stuck upside down, and I'm like, that's nothing. I spent 4 or 5 hours at a time crawling in and scooping all that dirt out from here to Loretta's house or further. You remember that? one handful at a time, all for, I think we were making $2 an hour or something. Yeah, we were definitely overpaid. Those are the challenges of growing up in this family that made some of us tough, like Larry, made some of us lose our hair.
It's a miracle all 11 are still alive, huh?
Unless you ask Aunt Carrie. The other sister.
Shut up. We're supposed to tell people.
I just wanted to say, respect your elders and your dales.
You need to stand up to be on the camera.
I just want to say respect your elders and your dales.
Yeah?
Specifically Dales, because Dale, any other Dales that I should know of?
Larry Dale, Amanda Dale,
Levi Dale.
Dale.
The farmer ends up.
Raise your name if you have the name Dale. Raise your name. Raise your hand. If you have the hand Dale. Raise your name if you have the hand Dale.
Raise your hand if you have the name Dale in your name.
Raise it again.
Why you raise
One, 2, 3.
Right there, on the ground. Ben?
Share one.
You got to show your face if you're going to yap.
So Barry didn't say the culvert, because Barry and I and Sam Roberts, except I think Sam quit because we swore too much. We finally figured out to dig out the 18-inch culvert and measure it. If you tip a 5-gallon bucket on its side with a lid on it, and we'd cut a hole out of it, so you'd crawl back in the hole and pull it in with you and fill it, and then yell, "Hey, bucket's ready," because you're in the hole. And the bucket's between you and the entrance, and if Barry forgot and decided to climb out and go take a pee or something, then I'm stuck in there starting to panic like, okay, there's no way I can push this bucket full of mud, which was still wet after 6 months of flooding. Anyway, that was one. But how many remember the blue trailer? So Dale, Dad, I don't know that he ever bought a trailer new. I mean, he had some Suburbans, but first one, Loretta burned to the ground. That's right. Second one, Joanne burned to the ground. I mean, I'm talking the rims and the metal cable from the radial tires was all that was left of the charred out vehicle on the side of the road. Or he had some Chevy trucks, but Larry had a bad habit of making them turn upside down. or the station wagon. You know, somewhere between here and Hurricane, it just decided to roll off the side of the road.
the ACT tests.
But so he'd buy some new vehicles, but the trailers, they came from some ramshackle. I mean, if you, yeah, who knows where it got cobbled together. But the blue trailer was an old camp trailer that wasn't built to make, you know, carry any weight or equipment, and then it had been kind of rebuilt and welded around. But that became the hay hauling wagon. So you can see the hay behind you. Each of these are supposedly a half-ton or three-quarter ton bales. We're talking the small ones in Boulder, but somehow we had to get a lot of that from Boulder to Kanab. So it was a rotation of whether Larry was driving, and I don't even know if he was 16, or Barry took his turn, you know, trying to drive a Chevy truck, pulling a trailer that would hand stacked with hay high enough. And so some of you will go up through at times to Bryce Canyon or up to Tropic. You'll go up Red Canyon. Then one of the cool things is the highway still has the two stone arches over the highway. And so I remember getting there with my brothers, without Dad, because he'd just send us or left a day early and was like, hey, get this back to Kanab. And we're trying to get through before dark on the way back to Kanab. And one time that we had to stop and get on top, climb to the top. Usually that was my assignment as the smaller one to, okay, you get to the top and keep shuffling the bales of hay while we pull forward to get them under the arches at Red Canyon to get them home. But one specific time, and this trailer went for years and years. Then I remember I didn't go on the trip. I was at home in Kanab when Mom was starting to worry. It's getting dark. Dad and the kids haven't got back from Boulder, and always assuming he's probably dragging a trailer of hay to get a little bit more home. And so he did come in finally after dark in a huff saying, hey, we got to go and hurry and put out fires. So my fire experience for Larry's education when we were firemen was we immediately jumped in a couple of rigs, because coming down the canyon over the sand dunes down by 3 lakes, it had started to rub because it was overloaded and it had 10 times more weight than it ever should have carried. But it started heating up and started throwing sparks. And so by the time it got to the rifle range just below Moki Cave, it was starting to catch fires off the side of the road of the dry grass. And so, and the hay. So he finally, you know, kicked off a few bales of hay on the back that had caught on fire and got on home, and we went back up with shovels and kicked dirt to put out fires that was burning. I remember across from the checking station, across from Hog Canyon, all the way down through there. Why we didn't all go to jail in this day and age with the fire, because he had started fires for a good 3 miles down the side of the road after dark, dragging in a trailer with hay. And so that was one of the rescue trips to go back out and try to put it together. But that blue trailer probably is still around. I mean, it's somewhat like the white belt. I think it's immortal. Yeah. It somehow recirculates.
I used that blue trailer to load hundreds of tires that were in a ditch right here.
This property.
On this property. They had made an irrigation ditch that there's still part of the old concrete ditch and rubber tires, and I stacked it full 3 or 4 trips and I hauled it. And when I left town to go on my mission to Bolivia, South America, I flipped that trailer off the wash over at the Clay Hills upside down and buried it partially, and I think somebody somehow dug it back out and resurrected it because it was back in use when I got home from Bolivia. And this was used for another few years until I finally cut it up physically into pieces. But the one other thing I remembered I wanted to talk about was how many of you little kids go and play with things like your dad's iPhone or your dad's tablet or your dad's computer.
I play with his sword that he had in his garage.
Sword, that's pretty cool. So, of the siblings, who can remember what Dad had in his desk that we used to play with?
A brother.
That too.
A skull.
No.
An abacus.
It was about the size of this microphone.
Oh,
Slightly smaller around, brown-colored paper wrapper.
reddish brown.
Yeah.
A stick of dynamite.
Dynamite, a stick of dynamite. So me and Ben and Barry used to go play Army Man with this real live stick of dynamite that he kept in his top desk drawer. Who knows how old it was or where it came from, if it was left over from Boulder or
But no one died.
somewhere else. Anyway.
But he always told us to be careful because it could have crystallized
Yeah.
into TNT and go off if you hit it hard.
Yeah. So he had a little closet room that he called the gun room where he kept a lot of guns that he had gotten from his Uncle Bill, and some of them are really neat, cool-looking guns. But I don't know. I mean, how many times have you fired a gun in your entire life?
2 times?
2 times, 3 times. I know he shot he shot a pistol one time when he shot a cat in the garbage can.
Blew a hole inside the garbage can.
So when we were little, where Grandma and Grandpa live now, there was nothing between that house and all the way back into town. There were no houses, no fields, no nothing. All the way up past where the fire station is now was a big open gravel pit. And next to it, where Pizza Hut is now, was a field, but Ace Hardware was the end of town, and it was kind of sparsely populated even that far. But between Ace Hardware... Quality printing, yeah, Ace Hardware doesn't even exist anymore. The quality printing, from there all the way down to the house was nothing. And everybody from town that didn't want their dogs or their cats would just drive out of town this way or out of town that way a mile or two and then kick them out and leave. And so here's these hungry cats coming to our house, meow, meow, meow. And, you know, little kids were like, oh, a kitty. Yeah. So Joanna and Loretta are wagging around cats with boogers in their eyes and fleas and ticks and whatever ever mange. But if we fed them, they were there for good. And we had a whole bunch of wildcats that were always tearing apart our garbage. And he walked out one day, shot the cat right in the garbage can. But didn't quite kill it because the next day it was still there with half its head gone. But anyway, I think that's where I gained my... It doesn't bother me to put an animal out of its misery. They need to be put out of their misery. Anyway. I'm trying to think of something. I had another story when I was sitting there by Deborah and I forgot what it was. I should have told you and then you could have reminded me. Oh, Mariah wanted me to tell about, we moved.
Everything's about you.
Some of you have been to Boulder and know where the old ranch house was, and that's where we lived when Loretta was a little girl and Joanne was a little girl and I was a tiny baby born for 8 months, and then we moved back to Kanab. Years later we went back up there and we moved a whole house, not as big as Dirk and Loretta's monster house, but a 2-story big house over a basement, and we moved it from one valley in Lower Boulder up the road and around back into the Boulder Creek side of the valley.
On the blue trailer.
Yes, on the blue trailer. Actually, we hired a moving company, Matheson or Masterson. Valgardson. And they came, but we had to prep everything and get it ready.
Had to get all the power lines.
And so we had to move it and lift the power lines up and stand on the roof and carry live power lines up while the truck that moved the house underneath it. Garcane Power actually had to pull one of the power poles out of the ground, and while it's still connected, just move it and let them go by and then move it back into place and stick it in the ground. It's kind of cool. When we were little, Granddad bought some cabins that were used when they filmed.
One in London.
No. I think it was either from the Planet of the Apes
Oh, Montezuma's treasure.
No, Montezuma's Gold was a
I
different.
thought the cabins he bought, the only cabins I know of were out of Zion's.
No, this was
this was the Boulder one.
Yeah, Zion's
The
are
metal
You're
roof.
talking about the metal ones up
Metal
there.
roof.
from
Leland
the
Hawes cabins were purchased. They were part of a city that was built out here at Big Water when they filmed.
McKenna's Gold?
No, when they filmed the Planet of the Apes. Then they broke down that little city and they had these little sheet metal looking cabins, and I think he bought 6 of them. And they had to be moved from Big Water up the highway and around and out from Mescalani to Boulder. And when they got going down from Mescalani down into Calf Creek, the cut through the rock was narrower than the cabin. So the cabin would get stuck, and they had to jack it and move it and lift it and scrape it and hit it. And then they got down across the bridge at Calf Creek, and going up the overhang rock stuck out too far and tore part of the roof off of one of the cabins because the truck driver wasn't paying attention. And anyway, those cabins sat there, and as a little kid, that would be in my brain as, well, when are we going to go get those cabins? We need to get those cabins and do something with them. I think that's probably been in his brain now for 60 years.
We've lived in here in Canab 54 years.
But those type of things, I think, I do a lot of things literally all around the world, and some people wonder, how do you have the tenacity or the patience to stick with something and figure it out and get it done? Instead of just giving up and quitting, or throw that away and buy a new thing, because it'd be quicker just to go buy a new thing than try to fix that old thing. And I think it's mostly because I've watched him. Some people have a hard time comprehending or actually absorbing the fact that we were poor. He has amassed a fortune, very successful and wealth in many, many different ways, but yet the kids of the Dale Clarkson family, we grew up very differently. Some of you saw the picture I posted. Those of you that are on WhatsApp, I posted a picture here a month or so ago of Loretta, Joanne, and me on the front porch, and I initially posted it for my kids, just to say, my Christmases as a little boy were very, very different than what your Christmases are like today. My children's Christmases are ridiculous, and now my grandchildren, my kids, are doing Christmases for their kids that are, I'm just like, what the heck? I mean, come on. One child doesn't need 15 or 20 or 30 gifts that are all 20, 30, 40, 50, 500, $800 items, you know what I mean? I mean, that's ridiculous. When we were little kids, Loretta got a coat and a purse and a dolly. That's a lot.
Spoiled.
And Joanne got a coat and a purse. I don't think she got a dolly.
Yeah, she had her dolly in that picture.
I got a coat. And I was mad. I told my kids, I was like, I didn't even get a purse. And so my daughter-in-law, Sierra, photoshopped the purse, Joanne's purse, into my picture. And I had my little tractor, which made me happy. Anyway, I've never gone without, and I'm grateful to them that I've never gone without. I'm not afraid of going without, and I can figure it out. Barry and Ben had to dig out an 18-inch culvert, and John had to help me the second go-around of digging out underneath the hotel. When I initially went under that hotel, they buried me alive. Literally, I had crawled the length of the hotel, tunneling. I was crawling in a foot of water and another foot of mud in a space of 18 inches. So if you add up a foot of mud and a foot of water in 18 inches, that's a negative space. So it's hold your breath, dig a hole, hold your breath, dig a hole, now crawl through the hole and get to the other air pocket. And I had done that, and Rick Willis, that some of you know, the plumber in town, used to work for me. He was with me but had to leave to go pay his insurance. He left. While he was gone, crawled out of the tunnel. The crew working on the hotel tipped a forklift and a bundle of plywood lifting up on 3 stories up onto the roof. They tipped it over, and the plywood and the dirt from the bank covered my hole. So I was in there working with a big flashlight. When I looked at the other end of the tunnel, there was no more light, and I thought, oh, my guys, Craig, my cousin, my workers are playing a joke on me, and I don't want to crawl through this mud all the way to the other end just to make sure that I can get out, so I'm just going to keep working. So I kept working, and eventually my flashlight started getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, and when the battery was dying, I thought, I better get out while I can see. So I crawled out, only to find there was no out to be crawled. And so I started trying to tunnel into from the hallway into the individual spaces below the rooms, hoping to find one of the rooms that the bathtub had not been set over the hole yet. And the first room, it was set. The second room, it wasn't set, but when I was trying to wiggle the tub out, it lodged in place and I couldn't move it any further, so I had to tunnel into the third room and finally got out, and the form board they had made the block out for the tub space in the concrete when they poured the concrete had nails in it, and when I crawled out, I was halfway out and the nails caught in my shirt and made me flinch, and when I flinched, the nail caught in my flesh, and so I was impaled on my tippy toes in mud trying to crawl out of this hole, and now I'm impaled with a nail, and so I can't get off the nail, but I don't have enough strength, I can't reach anything further to push, and so I'm trying to levitate out of the hole, but eventually I got out, went out, and it's totally dark outside because now it's 8 o'clock at night, and I had gone in at about 9 o'clock in the morning. So I was not very happy, but then I spent the next 3 years under that hotel. I'm glad it's somebody else's. Amen.
We were happy to see it go. We're going to give the mic back to Granddad to finish up his final teak lesson. I want to ask though, did you see your happy birthday banner?
I did. Beautiful.
95 years gold. So listen up close. Granddad has something super important to share, and I can hold your mic again.
Yes. The boys.
Why hasn't?
Just lay out, darn it.
How come you didn't say anything? Because you'd have the tear flowing?
But I think it's the reason you get
I can bear you my testimony that at least half of the things that's been said are true. I'm surprised once in a while to be told where I've been and what happened. But I love all of you. What a marvelous time to get together for this evening, and everybody's help it to make the party, especially for me. When Lehi was old, it says, moving toward death, he called his kids together to give them a blessing. And I thought it would be appropriate that we get kind of serious here this evening for a minute or two. And I'm not going to take very much time. But I want to tell young and old of any kind, the number one thing is Father in heaven knows you. You may not think so. Father in heaven knows you and loves you. And my thought tonight, and I have a little thing I want to give to each of you, It will help you to remember a comment or two that I will make. But Father in heaven loves you so much that he actually sent his son, Jesus Christ, down to help each of you. And so, what did Jesus Christ say? And I hope all of you remember. Father in heaven wanted us to be good, to be happy, to be at peace, and to live successfully and excited, especially as families, which is where we're here tonight. What a wonderful get-together. But he left his son, and his son simply said 3 words: come follow me. Who would be better for us to ever follow than Jesus Christ? So we were invited by him to come follow me. And not only that, but he also gave us other instructions, not because he needed them, but because it was a way of him helping us to be happy. All of us want to be happy, and he wants us to be happy. And so he gave us instructions. He gave us prophets and apostles. He gave us stake presidents and bishops. To each of you as God's choice children, Father in heaven loves you and wants you to be happy and wants you to enjoy the best of everything. And so he's given us a lot of helps to bring us to that position. In addition to this, he's given us free agency. Each one of us have free agency. We can decide. And hopefully, young and old will use that free agency to make yourself happy and make yourself at peace with the world. Look at all the terrible things going on in the world today, and the hurricanes, and the flooding, and the fires, and the war, and hatefulness every place around. Father in heaven wants you to be happy and to feel good. And so he's given us these different things to help us be happy. In addition to that, when I was a little boy, there was only 5 temples in the world. Today, I think there's something like 250 temples. Those temples are here for a reason. In the business world, I've had a lot of partners, good partners, and I could do more with good partners than I could anything any other way. Isn't it wonderful when we're invited to be a partner with Jesus Christ? Could you ever think of a better partner than Jesus Christ? And even beyond that, he has created for us temples. Why? To bless our lives and to form a contract with our Father in heaven as to how we should live and things that will make us happy. So Father in heaven has done everything and all he could to make us happy and to keep us out of trouble, and all the problems that could be, through his love, greater than anything else, that he even gave us his son to set the example and to be a savior for each of us as we go through this kind of troubled world and facing the different problems. In conclusion, Father in heaven is real, and his son Jesus Christ is real, and they have done everything to help us. I think, though, that there's two words that I like. Prophet, President Nelson, gave us these two words, and having embedded them deep in my bosom, and I think I will always remember them. But so I can also remember them, I have something I'm going to give to each of you so you can remember also. But before handing out this special thing, Pat, would you get that bowl underneath your seat? Before I hand these out, let's see it.
Maybe they filed by.
That's later. Carrie can do it. Carrie, would you open those sacks wide open? I want you to hold it up here. These are series. I want you to take these, and I would hope that some of you would have these coins 20 years from now. These are legitimate dollar coins. It's printed on them. I didn't even know they made dollar coins, but these are $1 coins, and they have a message on them for each of you. So for that, so they can hear them hit the pot.
Are they all the same?
Dump them. Dump it out. Dump it together.
What's your ring, Terry? What?
Give them high.
It's reminding me of Josie's story. You're gonna
Yeah,
find
the money
dump
house.
the money house.
I had 4 of the kids help me take care of these.
Granddad's gonna ask you, because I had your names. I know you're here. And he's gonna check on you.
Okay.
You better have an answer for him.
So these are here, and
Report.
they're legitimate United States $1 piece, and may I bear you my testimony quickly that there are beautiful things ahead. Sometimes we're negative and wonder if the future has any beauty. I would like to tell each of you that the most exciting, beautiful things are still ahead. And whatever your age is, you can enjoy the beautiful things that Father in Heaven has for you, because He wants you to be happy and wants you to enjoy life and the good things. And so I bear you this testimony. And as the patriarch, kind of the family, I think I'm the oldest one here. That like to pronounce a blessing on each of you because of God's love and hopes for you, that these 2 words will bless your lives and give you strength in times of challenge, life or death. These two words can mean something to you. So I would like for you to take these coins and protect them, save them, and enjoy them. And so after we finish here, everybody should get one. And if you have a member of the family that's not here, you may pick one up for them and share with them my message that the future is beautiful, exciting, and Father in heaven loves each of you. And I say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
What are the 2 words?
That's for them to figure out. That's for them everybody to figure out.
I gave this to another group that was at our house the other day, and I told them I wanted them to figure what these 2 initials were. Think for a second. On these calendars we have written T.C. I think you can read them from now on. T.C. What does that mean? But I'll tell you.
No, don't tell them. They've got to report to you. Don't make it easy for them.
Make it easy.
I know.
Tell people 6 years old and younger.
So I want to share with you this because it's the counsel given by President Nelson.
You've got a grandson there that knows what it is.
Do you know what it is?
Think celestial.
Think celestial. That's what I have on these coins. Think celestial. Regardless of where you are today, everything can be better as we think celestial. Thank you very much. Love all of you. Thanks for coming to me. Whatever you want to do.
So do you want them to file up to receive these from you?
They're here. Before you go, I'd like for you to get one for yourself, and if there's another family member, you may have one for
Now
them.
let everybody that's here in person get first.
Okay.
There should be enough.
What's that?
Okay.
Thank you all for coming and celebrating Granddad and sharing memories from our shared life and memories together. We're grateful for all of the things that he and Mom have taught us and supported us through all the years. And the best thing we can do in life is follow their example.
Let's give back to Grandma. Loretta and Dirk. Beautiful setting. Fun. Thanks for everybody and what you did. Okay? Barry had been naughty, which he was once in a while. And so she said, Barry, you've been naughty. And it really kind of hurts me to have to
Who Barry
discipline you.
is? You all know who Barry is? Barry better stand up.
I have a child on my lap. I know he's silly, but he knows who I am.
And
He's still talking back to his mom.
so
Talk loud.
Mom or Grandma said, Barry, you've been naughty. And as your mother, I need to discipline you. And so,
More than does you.
yes, you know how mothers say. And she said, Barry, if you'll take this knife and go over here to the willow patch and cut a nice long willow. And we just switch you with. And he's gone quite a while. But pretty soon Barry came back. You just think about this 6-year, 7-year-old boy with his head down and his hands behind him. And he goes across the lawn, approaching his mother, whom he's afraid of. When he got close enough, he kind of smiled and he said, "Mom, the tree was too high and I couldn't cut a whistle, but here's a rock you can throw at me."
Is that a true story? Is that a true story, Barry? No.
I only tell 2 stories.
Okay, I don't remember that, but you
Well-
can throw a rock at me if you want to.
Right. Okay, one other thing to kind of get the start here, because we always tell the truth, right? Pat came to me the other day, actually about 15 years ago, and she said, "Dale, you've been an awful good husband, and you've raised a beautiful family of kids. You just have an unusually beautiful family." And I said, "What can I show you as to how pleased I am? What would you like to have?" She surprised me. She says, "I want a red Cadillac." Can you imagine that? So, as a good husband, I went out and bought her a red Cadillac. And a couple of weeks later, well, even before that, Cadillacs are in quite demand, and they have pretty hubcaps, and they have other things pretty on them. And we had heard over in California where sometimes cars were just parked temporarily along the road, and somebody came along and stole things off of them. We don't have that problem here in Canada. But we bought the Cadillac, and Grandma and I went to my class reunion down in Mesa, Arizona. And we were there in this restaurant and just had a royal time with all my kids I grew up with. So excited. But after we finished the dinner, we, you're kind of walking on air as you go. Everybody can hear me?
Tilt it up.
No, okay. And so,
Yeah.
she and I were really kind of on a high, and we had parked this Cadillac out in the parking lot over across while we were in the restaurant. And so we came out, went through some cars, and went over to the Cadillac, and we were kind of exhausted and excited and stuff. We jerked the door open and sat down and kind of sat kind of relaxed. And however, when I opened my eyes, my steering wheel was not there and the radio was gone. And what a horrible feeling after such a fun reunion to go out in this Cadillac that meant so much to both of us and find the steering wheel was gone and the radio was gone. We grabbed our cell phone and rang 911. In just 2-3 minutes, the police were there asking what we needed. And we told them what it was. They said, "Hey, don't worry. We'll take care of it. We'll find out what the problem is." And they were just 2 or 3 minutes around, came over to the car and said, "We've solved the problem. You and your wife are sitting in the back seat of the Cadillac."